borderline personality disorder and isolation stroke socialisation. This past year of COVID, in terms of the lockdowns and bubbles, I have probably found this year easier in those terms than most people. Let me explain. Um, After my last suicide attempt in the year 2000, uh, first of all, after I was discharged in hospital, I was put in a drunks homeless hostel. Uh, and whilst in that hostel for about a year, slightly over a year, I spent all my time locked in my room on my own. One reason is it's a very scary place, trust me. This flat I'm in now, I was placed in this flat in 2001. If you remember the Twin Towers disaster, I literally moved in here the month after that. In the beginning, there was a lot of therapy, which I obviously attended. And then when there was no more therapy, from then until 2017, I stayed in my flat. I would leave my home once a day to get my supplies, what little food I eat, more importantly, alcohol, and maybe even more importantly than that, a little bit of cannabis. Cannabis and alcohol are the some people can date and some people get lots of sex. For me, cannabis and alcohol are the only real pleasures I have. But for all that time, I spent most of my time alone in isolation. The only time I spend time with people is when I go out about my business, and then once behind my locked doors of my flat, that's it. I have no desire, I have no wish, I have no need to go out and see other people. Yes, often I get very lonely, and yes, there have been times over the last 20 years where that loneliness and how it has joined up with my depression in dragging me down. Yes, there were times that I self-harmed because I was lonely. But feeling lonely and being around people, they are two different things. Up until my suicide attempt, I've had borderline personality disorder as long as I want. But I've had borderline personality disorder as long as I've lived, as far as I know. But up until the year 2000, I took part in society. I had a job. I would go, and I often had two jobs. You see, as I don't know how to meet people, like everyone, I have the same ideas. If I go and join a college course, I can meet people, or a night class. As far as I'm concerned, if you are in some kind of learning establishment, that's not really an appropriate place to meet people, particularly if you are hoping to date. If I am in college and people approach me to make friends, look, I'm here to learn. Go away and leave me alone. So I would take on part-time jobs, evening jobs, and weekend jobs as a way to meet people. And however much time I spent amongst people, I've just always felt outside. Even in my own family, before I started school, my mum, my dad, myself, and my younger sister, I always felt that those three were a family, a unit. My mum, my dad, my sister had a connection which was a proper, healthy kind of connection. And I have always felt on the outside looking in. By the time I was taken into care at the age of 11, myself and my sister, it's never been that I've hated my sister. My sister has never ever done me no wrong. But when she was first born, like every family, especially, as the older brother with the younger sister, you've got to look out for her. She's your sister. Now that was not a problem. That made sense. The problem was, at 6 years old, I am at school because I am 6 years old, so that's where I have to be. My sister, who is not yet 3, is at home with mum because she's too young to go to school. I would come home from school to find I've done something wrong and I'm being smack. You're supposed to look out for her. And then when Dad would come home from work, drunk, he would be told how my sister has been injured because of my neglect. And of course, slap, only more violent because it's a man. And so by the time I got into care, my sister to me was not my sister. She was just a reason that I did not understand why I'm always getting beaten up, why I'm always done something wrong and have to be punished, have to be corrected, have to be taught better. And I never understood the importance of having a sister. All I understood was I'm just getting hit more. I just don't understand why, because I don't go out on my way to misbehave and earn beatings. I do honestly go out of my way to not earn beatings. So by the time we've gone into care, I'm only 11 years old. She is 8. Yes, I mentioned earlier when I was 6, I had said she had not reached 3. I'm born in December. She is born in March. And for those few months, I am 4 years older than her, just in terms of numbers. And then when she's had her birthday, it's 3 years older. As I say, it's just about the timing of birthdays, not because I'm so much older. So with the way my memory works, I remember times when she was 3 years younger than me, and I remember times when she was 2 years younger than me. However, what I don't remember is ever feeling anything at all for her. I've never hated her. I've never loved her. She to me is like every other person upon the face of the planet, an alien species that I just don't understand and do not feel a part of, do not feel connected to. Despite the fact we came from the same mum, despite the fact we shared the same DNA and whatever inherited characteristics, she is my sister, and yet I have never felt anything at all from my sister. I find isolation easier. The last time I had a friend was the age I was 12, because of a 2-minute episode in care at the age of 12 that I don't fully understand. I understand some parts, and some parts I still have no way of knowing how to understand. And there's a lot that happened in that 2 minutes when I was 12 years old that still terrify me today. And that's why, since that specific incident, it isn't that I am not allowed to look at another person and attach that label, that word. I am not allowed to look at another living person and see a friend. I'm just not allowed to. The last time I had a friend and that friend told me he was leaving and I would never see him again, I lost my temper and attacked someone at the age of 12. And because of that, I have been terrified of looking at another person and attaching the label friend. I don't make friends. I make acquaintances. And at this point in time, I have 4 acquaintances, and one of them is my newsagent. At 10 minutes, this was about isolation and I said stroke socialisation in terms of my borderline personality disorder and my experience of it. I've explained why I prefer isolation. I've tried my best to explain my feelings of alienation. From as long as I can remember, I have always been apart, outside of humanity, alienated, ostracised, hated, rejected. That's how I've always felt. And I don't know how to not feel that. So I just find isolation easier. And it's fine to leave it there. I think that says everything I need to say right now about my borderline personality disorder and my isolation. Happy meditating.